Hey everybody, if you're anything like us, then you are just itching to get into your garden beds. We've had some beautiful days. It's felt like spring, but unfortunately it was just a trick, and we are back down to freezing temperatures if you live in this area. So for today, I'm going to show you how to make your own container with plants that can tolerate these cool temperatures, and not only is it going to be beautiful, it's also going to be edible as well. Okay, so here are some plants that you can actually use in a container. They're going to be edible and they're going to continue and persist all the way through spring. Some of them don't do very well once it starts to get hot, but that's okay. You can cycle out to summer veggies and flowers at that point. So one of the most surprising is actually pansies. You can actually eat pansy petals and they're pretty tasty. I would definitely recommend a little salad dressing with them because they have a very vegetal, flowery taste and not necessarily anything that is just delicious on its own, but they are great in a salad. We've also got spinach. That's another cool seasoned vegetable that's going to do really well. We've got leaf lettuce. The nice part about leaf lettuce is you can just harvest as you need. You don't have to take the whole plant at once. We've got some bok choy. Now, if you're familiar with bok choy, it is related to cabbage. It's like an Asian cabbage, and it does get rather big. A lot of these plants have a couple of them very close together, and unfortunately you'll probably have to thin those out if you're going to be planting them in this tight of a configuration, but that's okay. It's meant to be used, it's meant to be eaten. We've also got Swiss chard, which is going to be delicious and give a little zing to your salads, but it's also really, really brightly colored, so it's going to give the beauty aspect as well. And then finally, kale. Now I know not everybody likes kale, but it's good for you, so you should definitely try it. The kale is going to get pretty large, so I'm actually going to put it at the back of this arrangement, but we want to make sure that all of these get plenty of sunlight so that they can get the maximum growth capable out of each plant. Okay, so what we have here is pretty much everything except for the pansies have been pre-planted, so you can get an idea. It looks a little sparse right now, but we actually want that. You don't want to overdo it because if you crowd too much, your plants are going to be struggling, they won't be able to breathe, and you're probably going to lose a bunch of them. So it looks sparse right now, but they will fill in just a few weeks and it'll get bigger and bigger, so you want that extra airspace. I'm gonna show you how to plant the pansies. If you've never done this before, it's super, super simple. First thing is when you're purchasing pansies or any plant in general, you want to have a look at the roots. If you look at these right now, they are bright white. They are well rooted through this soil. This is a really good, healthy plant. So that's a perfect specimen. That's what you want to look for. If they're brown or black or mushy, select another plant because that one's probably not going to make it. All I have to do, I'm kind of going to rough up this plug a little bit with my fingers just so that it will help to stimulate the root growth outward and not keep it cycling into a circular pattern. Just a little bit. We don't want to do too much damage. There we go. And now all I have to do is make a little indentation that is the same size. And the soil that we're using, Eckert's always uses the same. We're doing Fertilizer Ultimate Potting Mix. And so it's just a great neutral that works for just about any kind of plant. So it's going to work great for these guys. I'm going to add some supplemental nutrition, but all you have to do is just kind of work that soil back a little bit, and then you can plug your plant in, and then you're going to backfill. So what I'm going to do is use my fingers, and I'm just going to gently massage that soil right in there. I want to make sure that I go all the way down to the bottom. We don't want any air pockets because the air pockets can dry out the roots and actually kill them. So we're going to squish it down just a little bit and pack it down with our fingers to make sure that it's deep in there. So now that we have everything plugged in, the next step is we want to go ahead and give fertilizer because this particular soil really doesn't have anything nutritive and these plants like a lot of food. So what I'm going to do, we are using this Espoma Organic Garden Tone. It's great because it works for any sort of edible plant. And what we're going to do, we're not going to measure it out today. We're just going to sprinkle it a little bit in between the plants here. Normally you would only do a teaspoon per plant, but since they're all together here, we're just gonna work our way around them so we give them a little bit of nutrition. And this is a slow release, so the nice part about that is it'll just take its time, and as long as we don't go too crazy, it's not going to over-fertilize and burn the plants. So just a little bit around each one, just to give them a little meal here. Try to keep it off the leaves if you can. Don't follow my messy example. And then the last thing I like to do is actually kind of scratch that into the soil because when you go to water, if it's sitting on the top, it can get washed away. And we want it to go down to where the roots are to actually feed the plant. So I'm just gonna massage that in a little bit to keep it where I want it. And there we go. Okay, and for the final step, we need to water all of this in. So what I'm going to do, I've got my little watering can right here, my trusty watering can. We're going to try to water all these guys really well so that their roots stay saturated. Now, when they're small and they're very vulnerable like these are at this stage, you have to be careful so that you don't wash all of the soil away from the roots. So I'm actually going to use my other hand, my opposite hand. I'm going to point it right at the edge so that I get more of a gentle stream as opposed to a direct stream, so I don't blast them out of the pot. And I'm just gonna gently go all across the surface here so that we can moisten all of this soil and give them a good drink. If you can see what I'm doing there. It just kind of breaks the flow so that it's not quite so strong. Otherwise, you form channels and can actually damage your plants by watering too strongly. And there you have it. You have your own spring salad bowl. If you are somebody who lives in an urban environment, this is a great way. Maybe you don't have access to your own garden in the ground or you don't have a raised bed. This is a great way to grow your own food this spring, and you can just keep enjoying it over and over again. Or maybe you're just bored and you can't actually work out in your garden yet. This is a great way to get started. So I hope you enjoy. I hope you learned something good today. Thanks for watching and happy planting.